Coming up on Falcon Weekly, a world on edge in the wake of the Paris attacks. See how the manhunt for the ISIS terrorists continues. And now a new report shows ISIS is drugging their fighters before sending them on missions.
Campaign controversy. Donald Trump was in Birmingham this weekend, but Trump's comments about a protester's treatment are raising eyebrows.
And ready, set, shop. We've got your guide to getting the best Black Friday deals. Plus, see which retailers are taking a stand against Black Friday creeping into Thanksgiving Thursday.
Plus, some are calling it the prank of the year. Adele impersonates an Adele impersonator. See how her fans reacted when they realized who she was.
And good news for coffee drinkers. Find out why a new study says a cup of coffee is good for your health. Falcon Weekly starts right now. Hello and welcome to Falcon Weekly. I'm Austin Gates.
And I'm Kiera Hood. Thanks so much for joining us.
Brussels is on its highest alert following the Paris terrorist attacks 10 days ago, fearing that what happened in France could happen in Belgium.
Meanwhile, countries around the world are working to figure out how best to respond to ISIS. From missile attacks to the race for the White House, Emily Schmidt has more from Washington.
In Brussels, Belgium, quiet does not necessarily mean calm. The city is under a partial lockdown because of what officials call a serious and imminent threat, keeping citizens home while police search for terrorists tied to the attacks in Paris.
A city where millions came out on Friday night to live their lives and to send a very clear message to the terrorists that you will never win.
The ripple effects of the Paris terrorist attacks are widening around the world. British Prime Minister David Cameron met with French President Francois Hollande for the first of Hollande's 3 big meetings this week, working to build a coalition against ISIS. He will also meet with President Obama and Russian President Vladimir Putin. Russia has released videos of missiles to be fired on ISIS targets in Syria. One reads, "For our people," the other, "For Paris." In the U.S., a new Washington Post-ABC News poll shows 57% of Americans disapprove of how President Obama is handling ISIS in Iraq and Syria.
They're a bunch of killers with good social media.
The same poll asks Americans which presidential candidate they trust to handle the threat of terrorism. Hillary Clinton gets the nod.
We have to take them on the ground, we have to take them on in the air, and we have to take them on online.
The closest matchup is between Clinton and Florida Governor Jeb Bush, with Clinton at 46%, Bush at 43%. Her lead over GOP frontrunner Donald Trump on the issue is 8 points. U.S. politics impacted by Paris. In Washington, I'm Emily Schmidt reporting.
We'll have more on the 2016 election coming up later in the newscast. Meanwhile, authorities in Brussels say their search for Salah Abdeslam, a key suspect in the Paris attacks plans, has so far turned up empty. They have arrested 21 people in raids over the past few days.
And a new development. ISIS may be drugging its fighters with mind-altering amphetamine before battle. Former ISIS recruits and defectors say they were given drugs by their superiors with the promise that they would be stronger and tougher. One ex-ISIS fighter says he took hallucinogens that made him go into a battle not caring if he lived or died. U.S. officials say the drug is likely captagon, an amphetamine that can cause a surge of energy and a euphoric high. It is also addictive and can cause hallucinations. The drug is popular in the Middle East, but is illegal worldwide. Experts say ISIS may be manufacturing captagon not only for its fighters, but to sell on the black market.
Meanwhile, Mali remains in a state of emergency as it reels from last week's deadly hotel attack in the capital. A UN official says he believes the attackers wanted to disrupt peace talks that were taking place inside the hotel. The death toll has now risen to 22. According to regional media reports, 2 Islamist militant groups have claimed responsibility for the attacks. Police have arrested a man in connection with the murder of a pregnant woman in Indianapolis.
Amanda Blackburn, the wife of a local pastor, died after a home invasion earlier this month. The couple's church said her husband returned from the gym to find that she had been shot. Blackburn was 12 weeks pregnant at the time of her death. Early Monday morning, police announced the arrest of 18-year-old Larry Taylor in connection with Blackburn's death. Taylor faces a preliminary charge of murder. Prosecutors will determine a final charge against him.
In New Orleans, a playground shootout sent more than a dozen people to the hospital Sunday night.
All of the victims are listed in stable condition. Here's video from the scene of the shootout. New Orleans police say hundreds of people were gathered at a playground to film a music video, and that's when two groups began firing at each other.
This event took place and a number of people were in the playground, several hundred people. We were advised of that. The commander here, Commander Goodley, assigned people to come to close the park down because it was not permitted. And as the officers were approaching, they were about a block away when they heard gunshots.
There was multiple scene locations. There was at least 3 victims inside the park, and it appeared to be another victim being treated by EMS on the outside of the park.
Witnesses tell police that both groups immediately took off after the shooting. Detectives are now searching for surveillance video of the suspects.
Dozens of animals were killed overnight when a fire tore through an animal shelter in Paxton, Massachusetts late Sunday night. Firefighters and volunteers were able to rescue dogs from the building, but the rest, sadly, did not make it out. The facility, Sweet Pea Friends of Rutland Animals Shelter, is a nonprofit rescue operation. Sweet Pea quickly put the call for help out on their Facebook page, prompting people from all over to rush to the scene with supplies. The cause of the fire is under investigation.
Sad news out of San Diego. One of the last white rhinos on the planet died this weekend at the San Diego Zoo. For the 41-year-old rhino named Nola had a variety of medical conditions and in the last few weeks was fighting a bacterial infection. Nola's death isn't just a loss for the San Diego Zoo, but the world. There are now only 3 northern white rhinos alive in the world after their population was declined by poachers.
In election news, Republican frontrunner Donald Trump made a stop in Birmingham over the weekend.
A protester got into a physical confrontation with Trump supporters during Saturday's rally. The protester appeared to be shouting "Black Lives Matter" when at least a half-dozen attendees shoved him to the ground. He was also punched and kicked. The protester was eventually led out by police officers on the scene. Birmingham police say that 3 people were asked to leave the event following the scuffle. Trump caused controversy Sunday during an interview on Fox News where he said the protester was disrespectful and deserved to be roughed up.
Trump has campaigned on a promise to ship illegal immigrants out of the country, but it looks like the flow of immigration from the United States to Mexico is already reversing. A Pew Research Center report finds more Mexicans are now leaving the U.S. than coming in. The study found about 1 million Mexicans and their families left the U.S. for Mexico from 2009 to 2014. For the same period, about 870,000 Mexicans entered the state. Researchers say tougher immigration laws, a sharp increase in deportations, and family ties are the likely cause. Even with more deportations, the Pew Research found most Mexicans who returned home did so on their own. A new poll shows Donald Trump has a double-digit lead over Ben Carson in the Republican presidential race. 2 new national polls also suggest voters prefer change over political experience. Trump leads Carson 32% to 22% in a new poll by the Washington Post and ABC News. And the real estate mogul leads the retired neurosurgeon 28% to 18% in a Fox News poll. A third poll has Carson falling to 3rd behind Ted Cruz.
On the Democratic side, Hillary Clinton has shifted her focus to tax cuts. Campaigning in Iowa, she pitched a plan to give a tax credit to people who care for elderly or disabled family members. The focus on tax breaks for the middle class puts her at odds with her biggest Democratic rival. Senator Bernie Sanders has backed proposals that would raise taxes on middle-income earners. Sunday night, his campaign criticized Clinton's tax proposal as tentative half steps, calling them Republican light. And the Sanders campaign is rolling out new TV commercials in key battleground states. The new ads focus on his platform. One ad entitled "Works for All of Us" will air in early voting states like Iowa and New Hampshire. In addition to the television spots, the Sanders campaign announced it will begin airing radio ads in South Carolina that focus on his record on racial equality.
A new poll suggests not many Americans trust the federal government. The Pew Research poll says just 19% of Americans surveyed trust the government most or all of the time. According to Pew, that's close to the lowest level in the past 60 years. When it comes to political parties, 32% of Republicans and GOP learners surveyed say that they are angry with the government. That compared to just 12% for Democrats and Democratic leaders. 89% of Republicans polled say that they sometimes or never trust the government, compared to 72% of Democrats. Remember, there's more news online 24/7. Just search for Falcon Weekly on Facebook and Twitter to see more stories and news throughout the week. We've all heard the old saying, money can't buy happiness, but a new study shows it can. Coming up, see what you have to do to spend it on to boost your mood.
And in health news, see why some health experts are prescribing exercise for people battling depression.
And eating healthy can be pricey, but we have some tips on how to save some dough on your fruits and vegetables. Those stories and more when Falcon Weekly returns. Welcome back to Falcon Weekly. In campus news, students gathered in UMOM Monday for a panel discussion about the recent Paris terrorist attacks.
The three professors leading the discussion each come from backgrounds that involve teaching extensively on French and Islamic history. The talk covered various issues leading up to the attacks, including the Syrian crisis and the rise of ISIS. Professor Clark Holquist is a French historian who wants to use his knowledge to help students understand recent events.
Both of them, along with me, could provide various levels of expertise basically on these sad situations the last 10 days, and in some sense the last 20 years.
The state's got a lot of hot issues to debate, and I wanted to do my part to facilitate that conversation here.
More than 40 students came out to the discussion, and many participated in audience Q&A afterwards. For many people, the end of the semester involves a lot of studying, but for the Chi Omega sorority and every other Greek organization on campus, the end of the semester also means it's time for a dance break. Falcon Weekly's Elizabeth Reinhardt shows us how her sorority prepared for this year's Lip Jam competition.
Alpha Gamma Delta's Lip Jam competition pits UM sororities and fraternities against each other in a lip sync showdown. This year's theme is the evolution of popular singers like Taylor Swift, Beyonce, and Adam Levine. Chi Omega choreographer Savannah Diaz is very excited about their artist.
Our artist that we're practicing for is Gwen Stefani.
Chi Omega used 8 songs from Gwen Stefani's time in the band, No Doubt, all the way up to her recent releases. For the last month, the girls spent several hours each night learning the dances and working on props.
For Lip Jam, props are not required, but they can add a lot to a chapter's performance.
The sisters created a television to show what year each song was from, and wind-up keys. The night of Lip Jam, the Chi Omega girls got ready together and put on their best Gwen Stefani outfits, complete with hair, crazy makeup, and fake eyelashes. Chi Omega was the second group to perform, and then had to wait patiently for an hour to find out the results of the contest.
In first place, we have Kaya.
It was Chi Omega's first Lip Jam victory in 3 years. Senior Courtney Boyd has participated in Lip Jam every year, but hasn't experienced the thrill of winning since she was a freshman.
As a senior, this really was a highlight moment for me. It was really nice to, to win and this be my last year to be able to do this, and I can look back on it and always know that we won first place my senior year.
Lambda Chi Alpha's Michael Jackson routine took the top spot for the fraternities. Reporting for Falcon Weekly, I'm Elizabeth Reinhardt.
As a prize for winning, Chi Omega received $75 for their philanthropy, the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
The LeBaron Recital Hall filled with harmonious voices this past weekend as the music department presents the Great Opera Sampler. The event, directed by Dr. Charles Wood, allowed patrons to see graduating singers performing various acts from selective opera pieces such as Karma, The Consul, and Susanna. The program ended with a sneak peek into next semester's full production of one of Mozart's famous opera pieces. Thanksgiving may not have come yet, but Santa Claus is already in town for the annual Montevallo Christmas Parade. Residents gathered on Main Street last Thursday to watch as floats, fire trucks, and even horses passed by with free candy. The night was filled with seasonal music performed by the Montevallo High School Band, and the evening ended with the Christmas Bazaar at Montevallo Elementary with vendors, a cakewalk, and pictures with Old St. Nick himself.
Turning to health news, Falcon Weekly's Matthew Haskins is here with us for a look at today's health headlines.
What have you got for us this week, Matt?
Thank you, guys. Millions of Americans suffer from depression, and many have found some form of relief by symptoms by using antidepressant medications. Reporter Jim Morelli talks to an expert who says many cases of depression can be treated effectively with a pair of running shoes.
Dr. Jane Erb is director of the Depression Center at Boston's Brigham and Women's Hospital. She says researchers are learning more about the power of exercise in treating depression, a therapy that, in some cases, can even take the place of antidepressant drugs.
It's really just been over the last couple decades that there's been more focused, sort of clinically validated trials that have established that there truly are appreciable effects that go well beyond placebo.
It's well known that exercise causes the release of chemicals in the brain which bring about feelings of euphoria, the so-called runner's high. But there may be other physiological things going on as well. A recent study published in the journal Cell found that mice specially bred to contain high levels of a chemical released during exercise seemed resistant to depression brought about by stress. The important thing, Dr. Erb says, even for those with major depression, is to try and keep moving.
Because anything one can do to try to counter the forces of the depression when the depression is just getting bigger, and particularly if medications aren't working, the more it can help to kind of keep reins on that vicious circle.
In Somerville, Massachusetts, Jim Morelli for CNN.
A recent report has surfaced that may have you thinking twice about having unprotected sex. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says STDs increased dramatically in 2014. 1.4 million cases of chlamydia were reported. The CDC says that's the highest number of annual cases of any condition ever reported to the CDC. Reports of gonorrhea and syphilis also increased in 2014. According to the report, there was a particularly troubling increase in syphilis infections among men. The CDC says gay and bisexual men are most at risk for syphilis infections. The number of adult smokers in the United States has declined nearly 10% over the past 18 years. That's according to new government statistics from the first half of this year. The study released by the CDC's National Center for Health explains that just under 15% of Americans currently smoke. That's the lowest percentage since this survey began in 1997, when nearly a quarter of U.S. adults were smokers. The CDC researchers say the reduction is due to smoking bans, price increases, awareness campaigns, and improved access to tools that can help smokers shake the habit. Health officials aim to see percentage of adult smokers falling to 12% or less by the year 2020. To drink or to drink more? That's the question, as a massive new study finds coffee drinkers having a lower risk of dying early. More than 200,000 women and 50,000 men were included in this study published by the journal Circulation. The study examined only coffee consumption, and that results showed that drinking any kind of coffee, decaf or regular, is good for you. Researchers began with surveys of coffee consumption, minimizing other factors such as smoking, nutrition, and alcohol consumption. After examining through the other factors, researchers concluded that coffee drinkers are 10% less likely to die of heart disease and as much as 37% less likely to suffer Parkinson's or dementia. The study also connected coffee consumption with lower suicide rates. And it's time to rethink some of our eating and spending habits, and that includes how we dish out at the grocery store. Holly Furfer has some tips in today's Health Minute.
Eating right on a budget starts with a little planning. Before you head to the grocery store,
plan out your meals in advance, make a grocery shopping list, and stick to that list when you're shopping.
And although it may be a little more trouble, double a recipe from time to time so you can freeze part of it for another day. Buying in bulk is often cheaper. Registered dietitians recommend filling half your plate with fruits and veggies, and buying ones that are in season is often cheaper. Fill the other half of your plate with whole grains and lean meats. And if you want to save a little on that meat,
one way to make your meat dollars go further is by adding beans to the mixture, and then you can stretch the meat and actually use less in the same dish.
Controlling portion size is another way to help your budget. Experts say if something is in front of us, we tend to eat it, even when we're full. So try using smaller plates. And finally, save going out to eat for special occasions. Dining out is almost always more expensive than cooking your own. And if you get tired of doing all of the work, well, get the kids to help. For today's Health Minute, I'm Holly Furfer.
For more health news, including how you can make time for working out during the busy holiday season, be sure to check out the Falcon Weekly Flashcast on our Facebook page. Reporting live in the studio, I'm Matt Haskins.
Thanks, Matt. Still ahead, the Montevallo women's cross-country team made school history in the national championship last week. See how they ran their way into the record books later in Falcon Fever.
And what are you thankful for this Thanksgiving? We go behind the scenes here on Falcon Weekly to see what our crew are grateful for this year. We'll be right back. You'll likely be paying more for your traditional Thanksgiving dinner this year.
The American Farm Bureau Federation says that the cost of a 16-pound turkey is up more than 6% from last year to just over $23. The group blames the jump on an avian flu outbreak that killed millions of birds earlier this year. Overall, the farm group says the average cost of Thanksgiving dinner for 10 people will just be just over $50 this year. That's the first time it has reached that number. The dinner price comes from the average cost of 12 items typically served during a Thanksgiving meal, including sweet potatoes, rolls, stuffing, and pumpkin pie mix and shells. And pack some patience if you want to plan to travel away from home this Thanksgiving. Airports and roads will be crowded. AAA says nearly 47 million Americans will travel at least 50 miles from Wednesday through Sunday. The good news for them, AAA says gas is the cheapest it's been since 2008, and costs are also down for those flying. According to the travel company, airline tickets are 10% lower than last year for many of the top routes. Over the holidays, airlines are expecting 65,000 more passengers each day than last year.
Looking to get your holiday shopping done before Black Friday? There is no shortage of deals if you want to get a head start. Stores across the country are offering deep discounts on site and online. Polo Sandoval has your holiday shopping guide.
Forget Black Friday. Some of the nation's biggest retailers are already rolling out their big deals. Amazon.com started early. The online retailer launched Black Friday deals on November 2nd for some products, including electronics, toys, and clothing. Amazon Prime members got access to some of the deals 30 minutes earlier than non-members. Walmart and Target are also just some of the stores that began offering deep savings on November 1st. If you're among the growing number of shoppers going online for deals, you can expect free shipping at some retailers. Best Buy, for example, will send your products for free this year. No minimum purchase required. If you'd rather stick to tradition and get your doorbuster savings on Black Friday, some stores will open their doors starting Thursday evening. They include Toys R Us, Kmart, Macy's, and Target. Check your favorite retailer's website for a specific time. Expect several of your favorite retailers to push back against this Thanksgiving Day shopping tradition, though. A slew of major companies, including Nordstrom, Barnes & Noble, and Costco, won't reopen until Friday morning. Sporting goods store REI is announcing it will stay closed on Black Friday. They're asking customers to spend the day outside instead. As for their employees, they'll be paid to stay home on that day. I'm Polo Sandoval.
If you would rather wait for Cyber Monday to get good deals, you can start a day early on Walmart's website. The retail giant says it will launch its online holiday shopping sales on Sunday, November the 29th. Walmart typically started its Cyber Monday sales on the Monday after Thanksgiving, but the company says that faster internet to more homes and smartphones makes the move to Sunday more practical. Walmart says it will quadruple its number of Cyber Monday specials this year. About 90% of those deals come with free shipping.
And now to take a look at what's got us buzzing.
Joining us for the buzz today are Haley Sugg and Laura Poitras. Laura, what do you have for us today?
Well, thank you guys. Speaking of holiday shopping, we just saw that many stores are closing for Thanksgiving, but several stores all over are announcing that they will be open Thanksgiving Day for Black Friday shoppers to start early. Some stores even have Cyber Monday starting on Sunday. Would you guys skip Thanksgiving festivities to go shopping for your Black Friday deals?
Absolutely not. I love Thanksgiving way too much. I like to eat way too much. Thanksgiving, why do you need to go to Thursday? It's called Black Friday for a reason.
Right. Have any of y'all ever had to work on Thanksgiving Day because of the Black Friday shopping?
I haven't.
No, I have not.
It may be easier for people who have to work, you know what I mean, to go and get their shopping done on Thursday. They have to work. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit easier for some people who have to work.
You have your family and stuff around, hopefully, most of the time. You have your family around, and you really want to, go shopping instead of just spending time with them. I mean, some people, I guess, could spend time through shopping, but
yeah,
that's just
true.
not my cup of tea.
Yeah. And then there, those people, they go shopping to spend time together and they get trampled by other people, so I don't know. But speaking of shopping, again, don't believe what you hear. Maybe money can buy you happiness. At least that's the claim of a Harvard Business School professor. Consumer spending researcher Michael Norton says it depends on how you spend your money. He found people generally get more happiness spending money on experiences like vacations rather than things like electronics and gadgets. That's partially because anticipation of a trip to Europe or a dinner date can make you just as happy as the event itself. But spending on big-ticket items often causes stress and anxiety. Professor Norton says because experiences disappear, they let us make up a reality that was amazing and wonderful, and they make us happier. Well, as a college student without any money, I know that experiences typically bring me more joy than money. I'm pretty happy. How about you guys?
Yeah, I think money can get you happiness if you spend it on the right things. If you're looking for that to be all your happiness, though, you're probably going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm broke and I'm still happy.
Yeah. Haley, do you need money?
I save all my money for traveling, so experiences are where it's at, in my opinion.
Yes. Well, Adele's much-anticipated 25 album went on sale Friday, but don't look for it on music streaming services. The New York Times reported the singer has decided not to release it on streaming services like Spotify and Apple Music, but it's already on track to break records. The first single from 25, Hello, became the first song to sell more than 1 million U.S. downloads in a week earlier this month. And according to Billboard magazine, it sold 900,000 copies alone on iTunes on its first day of release. Forecasters say the album could go on to sell 2.5 million copies in its first week. Have you guys heard Adele's new album?
I haven't heard it. I've heard Hello. I'm actually planning on going to get one after we get out of here. I'm going to go buy one.
Is it because I've advertised it so well?
Oh, well, absolutely. That's, of course, the reason. No, I love Adele. I love her music. So
yeah.
If I can find a hard copy, I'm going to get a hold of one.
Do you all think that she could break the NSYNC record of over 200
I definitely
million?
think she can.
Yeah, I think it's completely possible.
That's a powerful woman right there. And now, Adele, starring as Adele. The singer pulled a prank where she pretended to be an Adele impersonator named Jenny. She joined a group of other Adele impersonators trying out for a fake talent show. While Adele looked something like herself, she was made up with a fake chin and a fake nose and kept her working class accent trimmed. She then went backstage with her fellow Adeles, watching all of them perform Make You Feel My Love. While the other impersonators were performing, Jenny acted nervous, telling the others she felt sick. When she took the stage, she missed her cue to start singing and asked to start over. But once she began singing, each of the impersonators knew it was Adele on the stage. Well, what would you guys do if you went to impersonate someone and they showed up impersonating themselves right in front of you?
I would freak out.
Yeah,
I would be excited too, though.
I'd feel silly, dressed up like them, and be like, oh.
Yeah, oh, you're actually them. I'm sorry that I don't do you justice, probably.
Well, I think I would probably freak out too.
Yeah.
I'd be like, here, I'm just like,
Yeah, I'd be
So starstruck.
Right. That's all we have for the buzz. Now time for a check on our Montevallo forecast.
Haley has a look at this week's weather. Haley?
Thanks, guys. This season's first snowfall in Mason City, Iowa, caused a headache for drivers. Road conditions quickly became hazardous and caused many drivers to abandon their cars in favor of walking. The county sheriff's office says that they responded to more than 40 calls of cars in the ditch. Looking at our local weather, it looks like we're getting more of the winter snow that bothered Iowa. We'll be looking at overnight. We'll have clear skies pretty much and lows hovering in between the 30s and the 20s. In the upcoming week, it will still be low temperatures with highs in between the low 60s and high 60s, and then lows hovering around the mid 50s. And a stormy weekend is on us, and that's your weekly forecast.
Thanks, Haley. Coming up, see what the school record the women's cross country team set at nationals last week.
And 3 Montevallo volleyball players attended the PBC postseason awards banquet on Friday. Found out what awards the trio received. Falcon Fever is next.
Welcome to Falcon Fever. I'm Elizabeth Reinhart with a look at this week's sports. The women's cross country team finished a historical season with a school record 20th place finish in the Women's Cross Country National Championship in Joplin, Missouri last week. 6 Falcon runners finished in the top 200, with sophomore Sierra Millsaps leading the pack in 78th place in individual standings. The Falcons captured 5 team championships and a back-to-back Peach Belt Conference title throughout the season. After falling to Lemoyne-Owens 71-53 last Wednesday, the women's basketball team bounced back with a win against the North Alabama Lions on Saturday. The Falcons shot 60% from the field and had 4 players register double figures in the win. Freshman Ashley Dunstan led the team with 19 points, sealing 3 out of her 5 three-point attempts. The Falcons hit the court on Saturday to take on Faulkner at 1:30 p.m. in Trustmark Arena. The men's basketball team took a surprising loss during their second game of the season to visiting Tuskegee University. The Falcons led the entire first half but struggled to keep that lead after halftime. Montevallo eventually fell to the Golden Bears 53-51 at home after a desperate Bryant Orange midcourt shot fell short of the goal. Orange recorded 17 points in the loss. The Falcons will travel to Tuskegee tomorrow in hopes of redeeming themselves. Tip-off is set for 7:30 p.m. 3 Montevallo volleyball players made an appearance at the Peach Belt Conference postseason awards ceremony on Friday. Senior Brianna Marquez earned second team all-conference and co-setter of the year. She finished third in the conference in assists with 1,047. Marquez is the second setter in Montevallo history to be awarded setter of the year. Senior right side Rebecca Phelps and sophomore middle hitter Christy Bohan both received first-team All-Conference PVC honors. Phelps was also awarded the PVC Elite 15 award for the third consecutive year for leading the conference with a perfect 4.0 cumulative GPA. Bohan led the conference with a whopping 437 kills and was third with 3.52 kills. She finished with a .345 hitting percentage, which ranks second in the PVC. Switching to SEC football, the Alabama Crimson Tide moved up to number 2 in all polls this weekend after crushing the Charleston Southern Buccaneers 56-6. The Tide celebrated Senior Day with a huge win over one of the top FCS teams, Charleston Southern. SEC Special Teams Player of the Week, senior cornerback Cyrus Jones, had the game of his life, recording 2 punt returns for touchdowns in the first half. Saturday's game marks the second consecutive game any player has returned a punt for a touchdown in Alabama history. Junior Derrick Henry also had another impressive performance, adding 2 touchdowns and 68 yards to his resume after about 20 minutes of playing time. Henry has now tied Trent Richardson for the most single-season touchdowns in Alabama history. An astonishing 73 Tide players saw playing time during the win. Auburn improved their record to 6-5 on Saturday with a 56-34 win against the Idaho Vandals. Quarterback Jeremy Johnson seemed to have it all together for the first time in a while, ending the game 13 for 19 with 163 yards for 2 touchdowns through the air and 2 on the ground. With the win, the Tigers are bowl eligible. Heading into rivalry weekend, both Alabama and Auburn limited playing time for key starters in order to keep them healthy and ready to go for the Iron Bowl. The Tigers will be hosting a steaming Alabama team at 2:30 p.m. on Saturday. And that's a look at this week's sports.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Before we go today, we wanted to take a few moments to give our crew the chance to tell all of our viewers what they're thankful for this Thanksgiving.
Falcon Weekly video journalist Brittany Williams shot this video earlier today. Take a look.
This year I'm really thankful for my friends and my family, and that we've made it through another year, and that looking forward to the surprises that 2016 has in store.
I am thankful for the new friendships that I have gained this semester, all of my classmates in 333. I am also thankful for my family, friends, and I'm so thankful for this break that we're about to get because I really need it.
I am thankful for a whole slew of teachers who are here to help me graduate.
I'm thankful for my family. I'm going home to Kentucky tomorrow to visit everyone, so hopefully it'll be not too terrible of traffic and I get to see everyone. I'm very excited.
I'm thankful for all the opportunities I've had here at the University of Montevallo and then all the people that have made that possible.
I'm thankful for my friends and my family on Thanksgiving and all the great food I get to eat.
I'm thankful for my family, my friends, for graduating this semester, and for being back in my house.
I'm thankful for my family, for my friends, for my job, for my students, and I'm happy that I can spend time with family.
I'm thankful to be alive and to be healthy. I'm also thankful to have a great family that I can spend Thanksgiving with.
I am thankful for my family and my friends and my church family and for graduating in December.
That's all the time we have for this week's show. Thank you so much for joining us.
For more news from MassCom student reporters, be sure to check out the Falcon News Network blog. The web address is on your screen. We'll see you again next week for our last newscast of 2015.
We hope all of you enjoy and have a very special Thanksgiving.